Time now for an in-depth look at the market news on this Friday, and for that I'm joined on the line by Mr. Daniel Yu, Global Strategist at Yuanta Securities. Mr. Yu, thank you for coming on, and once again, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So Wall Street hit record highs Thursday on the first trading of the year. What's the story there?
Sure. As you said, Wall Street closed deeply in green on Thursday, with the three key indices were up over 1% fairly. Dow was up 1.16%, S&P 500 was up 0.84%, Nasdaq was up 1.33%, basically hitting the record high level again. On the trade front, China and U.S. are still expected to sign Phase 1 of trade agreement on January 15th and begin with the Phase 2 talks. Also, investors were basically welcoming the PBOC, the Chinese central bank decision to lower the cash reserve requirement by 0.5 percentage point, allowing injection of additional 800 billion yuan worth of liquidity into the system. Overall, continued increase in liquidity as well as the trade talk in going in the right direction that trigger the overall stock prices to hit the record high. However, the futures market today seems to be doing some correction because of the high rise of the oil prices that affected because of the Middle East unrest.
Right, and China's plan that you discussed about stimulus measures this year sent stocks up in Europe as well. Asian markets, though, not so hot today. How about Korea?
Yes, as you said, the Asian markets are not that hot today. Kospi, again, it's only up by 0.06% today after falling sharply by 1 percentage point yesterday. Kosdaq was up over 0.5%, but today it's down by 0.6%. So pretty much since the beginning of the year, Kospi has been not doing well. Kosdaq is pretty much flat year to date. I think that the main reason for this is because, as I just said a little bit earlier, that the oil prices are rising, and higher oil prices means there's a negative implication for the GDP growth rate for Korea because of heavy dependency on manufacturing and exports. Also, we already know that Korea is having a very big difficulties due to the North Korea issues and political unrest, and overall the futures of the economic growth rate are a bit doubtful in terms of the fourth industrial revolution competitiveness. All in all, the corporate governance improvement by Korean companies are a necessity for Korean markets to further perform. All in all, yes, we think that Kospi will rise this year, but nevertheless, we don't think that Kospi can outperform the global equity market in the future.
And we'll have to see how much of a factor the U.S.-Iran situation is in the new year. But the Korean won today trading a little weaker against the dollar, but still much stronger than a couple of months ago. What's going on currency-wise?
Sure. As you said, the Korean won has gone down to as low as 1154 level, now back up to 1164.4. As you know, the peak of the currency recently was 1223. Maybe main reason for that is because of the concern regarding the interest rate environment as well as the long-term growth perspective of Korean economy. Interest rate environment is much lower than the U.S., and also the growth rate is lower than U.S., and there's continuation of the North Korea issues and political unrest. And all that implies probably the currency is not going to further appreciate that much from 1150 range. We think that the currency would probably trade in a range bound anywhere between 1150 to 1170 level, and hopefully further aggressive measures in terms of monetary policy and fiscal policy will allow Korea's economic growth rate to recover well above 2% territories. Korea is showing a lower than intrinsic growth rate of 2.5%, and it continues to grow at around 2% territories. The question mark is that in a long-term perspective, what kind of growth perspective can Korean manufacturing sector as well as Korean companies are going to able to show to the global economy. Yes, Korea is competitive in terms of manufacturing due to the semiconductor business and various other areas, but as far as the fourth industrial revolution areas, we are lack in terms of the competitiveness at the current point in time. So we need to see that to see whether the currency will further appreciate in the future. All in all, we think that it will be range bound in the meantime.
All right, Mr. Yu, we'll have to check in with you again soon on that issue and more. Thanks for making time today.
Thank you very much.